Let's talk about children's books. Which title comes to your mind? Let me make it a bit easier. Which author comes to your mind? Roald Dahl, Enid Blyton, Rudyard Kipling, I'm sure. There's Dr. Seuss, a stalwart when it comes to children's books. We'll talk about all of them, but first Roald Dahl. He's back in the news. He's been dead since 1990, but his writings live on. These writings are now being fidgeted with. There's a whole controversy around changes being made to his works, and that has stoked a censorship debate. Roald Dahl is a big name in the world of children's literature. He's the author of famous books like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, The Twits, Matilda, Fantastic Mr. Fox. Roald Dahl's books have sold more than 300 million copies, and they've been translated into 63 languages. His reach is global. But his publisher, Puffin Books, is now trying to sanitize his writings. They've hired what they call sensitivity readers to go over Dahl's works, and they've begun their work. Several changes are being made to Dahl's best works. In The Twits, Mrs. Twits was described as ugly and beastly by Dahl, but now she's just beastly. In Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Augustus Gloop is now described as enormous. He was previously called fat. Dahl's books are now being made gender neutral. The Oompa Loompas were small men. Now they're just small people. Terms like boys and girls have been replaced with children. Words like crazy and mad have been removed altogether. And it's not like the publisher is merely removing or replacing words. Puffin and its sensitivity readers are practically rewriting Roald Dahl's books. In the book The Witches, Dahl wrote a paragraph explaining how witches are bald beneath their wigs. Now that paragraph ends with a new line. This is what it says. There are plenty of other reasons why women might wear wigs, and there is certainly nothing wrong with that. Roald Dahl must be turning in his grave. People aren't impressed with his books being changed. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak certainly isn't. Sunak's official spokesperson said, and I'm quoting, "I think it's important that works of literature and works of fiction are preserved and not airbrushed. We have always defended the right to free speech and expression." Writer Salman Rushdie is appalled too. This is what he said, and I'm quoting again, "Roald Dahl was no angel, but this is absurd censorship. Puffin Books and the Dahl estate should be ashamed." Absurd censorship, he says. But Roald Dahl is not alone in suffering this. He's a controversial figure for sure, but he belongs to a league of writers who are now being accused of racism and insensitivity. Enid Blyton is among them. We've all heard about her or read her works. She has been a favorite of millions. But these days, Blyton's work is being debated. Her writings are being termed as racist and sexist. Some say her stories have xenophobic overtones. Just to give you a sense of how big an author she was. Enid Blyton wrote more than 4,500 short stories and published 700 books for children. Blyton has sold over 600 million copies globally. She still has a worldwide following and appeal. But what's problematic with the writings? Take The Little Black Doll from 1966. Sambo is the doll, the protagonist in the story. Sambo's owner refused to accept the doll since his face was black. The owner changed his mind only when the doll's quote-unquote ugly black face was washed clean by rain. What about Dr. Seuss? His books are today known for their creative imageries alongside short storylines. And how many books has he sold? More than 600 million copies and counting. If I Ran the Zoo, that's the name of a popular book by him. What's controversial about it? Well, the book includes pictures of two African men wearing grass skirts. These men are shown without shoes and shirts. And the most famous book by this author, The Cat in the Hat. In it, the cat is shown wearing a long top hat, an unusually large bow tie, and white gloves. The depiction is eerily similar to how actual blackface performers dressed. They did not belong in the white man's family. They were merely a source of amusement. These imageries caught the public eye around 3 years ago. In 2021, 6 books by Dr. Seuss were banned. Forbes listed him second in the list of highest paid dead celebrities of 2020. That tells you how influential the man still remains. Then we have Rudyard Kipling. His work is now described as racist and imperialist. Kipling is the author of The Jungle Book. He said the colonized world should recognize its inferiority. He believed all of Britain's colonies were inferior to it. Now, we know children have impressionable minds. The fact that many of them still read these authors is what is concerning. Reading material that is even remotely racist can influence a child's mindset. That is correct. Banning these authors, though, is not the solution. Neither is brazenly rewriting their books. They wrote what they thought was right in their times. Debating what they wrote would be a step in the right direction. Giving children the right context will be the next big step, not changing the books altogether.